Bokamper in the right place at the right time.
Joe Rose, touchdown Miami!
All right, welcome back to At the Pasture. Kim Bokamper, Joe Rose, and Joe. We've been having a lot of fun with this podcast, man.
Great people,
Yeah.
and getting a chance to share stories and get caught up with so many different celebrities and people we've looked up to and played against.
You know, and I've had the fortunate opportunity to talk to a lot of people, and they've been so gracious and talking about it. And so I think we got a treat for everyone that's participated with us. And if you want to get your friends aboard, tell them outthepasture.com. That's all they got to do. So we got for you today one of the guys that kind of a little bit of a scoundrel for us, Joe. A little bit of a guy that's a little hard to wrap your arms around, but a good guy.
Gets caught up from time to time. We have to hear about it.
Go ahead. And we really don't want to hear about it, but I know things are going to come up. And maybe
Super Bowl XVII. You're talking
maybe
about.
A little salty.
Yeah.
The great quarterback from Notre Dame. The runner-up to the Heisman Trophy to our good friend Jim Plunkett from Stanford.
Okay.
His senior year. Joe Theismann, who we met in the Super Bowl and played in our era, and really one of the great quarterbacks. He was a MVP of the league, MVP of the Super Bowl. No, not MVP of the Super Bowl. He was the Burt Bell Award winner. I mean, just a great football guy, Notre Dame player. So let's not waste any time. Let's bring in the guy with the ring, and we're gonna have to avoid that, Joe.
As much as we can.
But so let's welcome our friend Joe Theismann. Joe, you got hair. Joe's got hair.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got no hair. How the hell did that happen?
I don't know. Joe looks good.
His looks it used to be a lot darker. I think it's a different shade right now, but I'm not sure.
Kim, that's why you wear the hat.
That's exactly why I wear
Smart man. You're a smart man.
Hey, Joe Theismann joins us, former Redskins quarterback, and obviously, Bo, we're going to be tied with him for a long time, going back to Super Bowl XVII. And hey, let's just get this out of the way before we get going. Can we run back that play that everybody's talked about?
He's going to take it right off the top. You're going to throw me.
I am if you don't. Just to loosen this thing up. Joe, thanks for being with us. I appreciate it. Ball gets deflected up in the air.
I'll take you through the whole. I know Kim wants to hear the whole play.
Yeah.
So we'll start with me under center.
Theismann batted in the air. Almost a touchdown for Kim Bokamper. Oh, my.
So we're backed up, 15-yard line or so. And I take the snap, and I got a quick hitch out to the right to Charlie Brown. And they roll the defense. Charlie's not there. I turn to the left. I think Virgil Say is on the left side. I start to throw the ball to the left, and Kim knocks the ball up in the air. And I swear to you, as I looked at that football, and I could read the signatures on it. I could see the laces. If you've ever had your world go into slow motion, this is exactly what it felt like. Felt like my feet were in cement. So I'm like prodding along. I've got to get to the ball. So finally, I knew I couldn't, basically get there in time. And just at the last minute, I just tried to get my hand in between Kim's because he had him sort of out, sort of like waiting for it to land in his hand.
The batted ball there. Now watch Theismann go up and knock it out of the hands of Kim Bokamper. And Bokamper said, "It was my touchdown."
Great play by Theismann. As it appeared, Bokamper indeed had 6.
And I managed to strip it away. And I was just saying before, the look on his face. In my mind, it was wonderfully priceless.
So
in his mind, it was in total disbelief, like, what just happened?
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if Kim had scored the touchdown, we would have never been able to beat you guys because our entire game plan was to keep the game close. We weren't a team that was going to throw it a lot. We felt like we were bigger up front than you guys, and we were just going to run the football just as long as we could control the game. That particular play allowed us to stay close, and of course, JR made the big run, and Charlie caught the touchdown at the end and managed to win the championship. I'll tell you what a great team that was.
There were two great teams playing on that field, and I got to tell you what. When you say Joe Jacoby, tell him my back still hurts from trying to hold that son of a bitch up. I mean, oh my God! Yeah.
I don't know how you pushed him around. Well, you didn't. Come to think.
I didn't push him around. I just tried to get in the hole. I tried to get my neck into the holes where I could at least get in. So as far as that play, I'm the same as you. I tipped the ball up there. And I look up, and it looked like it was on one of those NFL films where it's just sitting in the air and just spinning.
Yeah.
And I just go, well, calm down. And then all of a sudden I feel someone in my back come over and swat. And then I had my reaction. So after the game, I'm in the locker room taking a shower, and Coach Shula comes in the shower and she says, hey, what happened? I said, Coach, he knocked the ball out of my hand. He goes, you didn't drop it? I go, no, he knocked the ball out of my hand. Never said a word to me after that. Never said a word to me about it. So, but
well, you know my history with the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as much as Stu might have been mad at you, there was no way he was anywhere near as mad at you as he always was at me.
That is, Joe, that's a great story. You got to tell about getting drafted. A lot of people don't realize you were actually drafted in the 4th round by the Miami Dolphins.
Actually, I was the 3rd pick because they had to give up their number 1 pick to Baltimore when Shue left Baltimore to go to Miami. And so I didn't have an agent because I'm a Notre Dame grad and I'm a smart guy. Yeah. So I thought, and I could do this deal myself. So I fly down to Miami. Joe Thomas is in the hospital. He was the GM having heart surgery. So I negotiate the deal with Mr. Robbie. And I'm sitting in his office. And I got a great education in negotiations. So I'm sitting in his office. He says, what do you want? And these numbers will blow everybody away today. I want $35,000, $45,000, and $55,000. And I want a $35,000 signing bonus. He says, you got it. And I went, man, that ain't the way negotiations work. Right. We're supposed to have a little rhetoric back and forth. But he says, you got it. So, I leave there. I go on Miami television. I say, come hell or high water, I'll be a Miami Dolphin. Fly back to South Bend. And what they'd done is they put a clause in the contract. I'd broken the bonus down into 12, 12, and 11 over 3 years for tax purposes. But they had put a clause in there that said that if in the event I didn't show up for any of those 3 years, I'd have to pay back the entire bonus. And so I became disillusioned with the process. So I called Leo Cahill, who was the coach of the Argonauts, and said, are you still interested in me, the Toronto Argonauts? He said, yeah. So we'll fly up here. So I flew up to Toronto, met at a gentleman's house by the name of Herb Solway, who was the attorney, and they made me an offer, 50 US dollars. But they said, if you leave this country, that offer's off the table. I signed the contract. I fly back to South Bend. 6 a.m., I get a phone call from Era, because Era was my consultant, whom I never consulted. Yeah. So he says, what have you done? I said, I signed with the Toronto Argonauts. He said, I know. I just got off the phone with Shule, and he's on his way up here. Don flew up to South Bend and read me the riot act. Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, he was so angry and pissed off at me. And but I don't live in the past. It was, I love Toronto. Of course, the 3 years I wasn't there. And this is the thing that I say to every Miami Dolphin fan about the 72 team. I could have been the quarterback because when I didn't go, Don went and got Earl Morrill. So Earl quarterbacked 9 of those games in 1972. Now, I couldn't have guaranteed that I'd win every game. So to all those Miami Dolphin fans that think about 1972, I say you're welcome.
I like that spin on it.
Yeah, there you go. I like always find a good way to go there.
Cup half full.
So this podcast is we talk about aging and all these types of things, and sure. we talk about us feeling like in your head we still think like we're 25 and we could rule the world, but our body feels like we're 70 or 80 or whatever, and so it's the battle of keeping that old man out of your head. And so how do you deal with that, especially with the injuries? And we'll talk about the big injury a little bit later on. But with all the injuries, all the bumps and bruises, concussions, and the crappy helmets we used to play back then, and you could rip a guy's head off.
No protecting quarterbacks.
Yeah, there was no protecting the quarterbacks. No. So as you move on and you get going, and especially when you travel a lot, how do you deal with that? And how do you force yourself to get up and do things when you don't want to, but it's better for you to do from a physical and mental standpoint?
Kim, it's always a mental battle. I think at this you reach a stage in your life where I've got a staple holding my left shoulder together. I got torn rotators on my right, looking like I'm going to have a new hip going forward because it's worn out, basically because of the leg. You get your teeth knocked out. I've had my nose broken 7 different times. I look back and I think of the experiences, and I'm not sad. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. But I think the toughest I should say the toughest thing anybody has to deal with is the mental side of everything.
Yeah.
And I believe if you're going to be any kind of successful individual, whether it be in your physical state, whether it's your mental state, it's mental toughness. And, being a little guy, everybody always told me I wasn't big enough to do this. I wasn't big enough to do that. And so I've been fighting that all my life. And now with my own body, my body basically tells me what I can and can't do. Like we do a lot of furniture lifting around, and my wife's always moving things around. I hurt my shoulder 4 years ago lifting a rug. I don't lift rugs anymore.
Right.
You just have to conscientiously make a decision and say, I can't do this. I would love to do this. I think I can do this. But, you wind up hurting yourself more trying to be what you were than accepting who you are. I mean, it's so, and to me, I think mental toughness is the most important thing, but you have to be mentally tough with yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can't do this. I can't. Classic example, golf, dealing with your mortality in golf. I used to hit a 7-iron, 100, 155 yards. For 2 years, I figured it was the equipment. I couldn't hit the golf ball at distance. So I went through 3 different sets of golf clubs. Yeah. It wasn't me. Yeah. It was the golf clubs. Yeah. Now I hit a 7-iron, 135, maybe 140 yards if I catch it sweet. But and so I've had to adjust that part of my life, which I absolutely love to do, in a way as well.
Yeah.
But I really think that if you're willing to accept where you are and then do the things that you can do. Here's one, pickleball, right? How many people are playing pickleball?
Everyone. Everybody.
I've talked to different orthopedic surgeons.
Do
you know how many people they see all the time that are pickleball players? 40%. Because they think they can do what they did.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I used to play tennis. But now, you push off, you pop a hamstring. You push off, you pop an Achilles. Yep. You swing at the ball, all of a sudden your shoulder hurts. Or you twist your knee. Yeah. And I just think that you need to be smart about what you can and can't do. And you need to be able to find other things to do. We get so programmed to doing certain things in our lives that we don't open up our minds to the possibilities that there are a lot of other things you could possibly enjoy.
Yeah, it's a great.
And I say to everybody, think of the other things that you can enjoy. Read a good book, go to a concert, ride a bike instead of running to eliminate the pounding on your knee. And if you get in a weight room, you're not 21, 25, 35, 40 years old. Don't start out with 25-pound weights. Yeah. And that's another thing. You get in a weight room and you see everybody lifting weight and there's that peer pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want people to think I'm a little weak wimp. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. This isn't about you looking at me. It's about me making sure I can stay strong, as strong as I can, and being able to continue to do what I want to do. And that to me, when we deal with aging, you just have to recognize what's happening. Yeah. We're all getting older. Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah.
Just like the Miami Dolphins were in 72.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Father Time's undefeated. So it's going to catch up to all of us. But find things that you can do and enjoy that work within the parameters of your body. And it helps your mind tremendously.
Absolutely.
Joe, speaking of injuries, you went through Monday Night Football. The world got to see back when Monday Night Football, everybody's watching it. Redskins and the Giants, and you get the fracture of the leg and going through that. And
got to be one of the most devastating injuries that's been seen on the football field. And, I knew as soon as I saw Lawrence Taylor, and everyone said that he was taunting you. As soon as I saw him, I said, no, he knows something's wrong here.
Right away.
Yeah, matter of fact, you could hear, I've only seen it once in 40 years. This is the 40th year coming up of the injury. Yeah. And I've only seen it once. And you could actually hear the sound. It sounded like 2 muzzled gunshots, and it was my right leg breaking. But we were in the midst of a 4-5 season. And I wasn't playing well, and this was going to be the night that everything was going to change for me. And matter of fact, when I left the locker room, we all have our superstitions, and I used to hit the Redskin logo when I left the locker room. And that night, when I never said anything for 12 years, all of a sudden that night, as I walked out of that locker room, I hit the logo. And I said, tonight your life's going to change, Joe. And little did I realize it was into prophecy. Wow. But it was a flea flicker. We run the flea flicker. I I feel the pressure coming from the left side, and Lawrence grabs my shoulder, swings around, and catches my right leg. And like I said, it sounded like 2 muzzled gunshots out to the left, and it's like pow, pow. And because people have come up, if you can believe this, okay, people have come up and say, "Did it hurt? Did it hurt?" And you know what I tell them? Go hang your foot off a curb. I'll be right back with my car, and you tell me when I run over it.
Right. Yeah.
But the bottom line is it hurt like heck, and then all of a sudden, you find out how unbelievable the body is, and from the knee down, I had no feeling. And so the whole evening was a sequence of events. First of all, they load me on the gurney to put me in the ambulance. And right next to where they load me in, Art Monk catches like a 40-yard pass on the field. So now we drive to the stadium, we get to the stadium. They start to move me from the ambulance gurney to the hospital gurney, but they forget to pick up the lower part of my right leg. So they lift me up, and my leg just sort of hangs down like this. Didn't feel a thing.
Yeah.
So I went to the attendant, and I said, "Could somebody just put the rest of me on there, please?"
Yeah.
Just like that.
Wow.
They wheel me into the prep room. I had them bring in a black and white TV with a coat hanger so I could watch the rest of the football game while they were working on my leg. Phil Simms throws an incomplete pass at the end, and that was it. And so then they put me under, put my leg back together. Did not get a rod, because back then the rods weren't really something that they did. They felt like it was a good union. In hindsight, probably a rod would have allowed me to keep my leg straight, and I wouldn't have the complications that I've had with it now, with the knee and the hip and everything else. But the irony of this whole thing is, and Lawrence Taylor was screaming frantically for someone to come out, because he had seen what happened and he knew what happened. So, about 4 years, I guess 3, the next Monday morning, nurse comes walking in. She says, "Mr. Thies," or it's Tuesday morning. She comes in and says, "Mr. Thies, Mr. Taylor's on the phone. Would you like to speak to him?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to talk to him." I said, "Give me the phone." So I said, "LT, is that you?" He said, "Yeah, Joe, how you doing?" He says, "Not very well." He says, "Why?" I said, "Why?" "You broke both bones in my leg, for crying out loud." He says, "Joe, you have to understand something. I don't do things halfway. Got to go to practice. Talk to you later." And he hung the phone up. Now, that was one of our conversations.
Right.
But the one that I appreciated more than anything was about 4 years after that. Remember, like Kim, I go to your place all the time when I'm in Fort Lauderdale. And we, during Monday nights after football games, we used, you'd go in there and you'd do a radio show or TV show, and people would come in, the fans. So LT had a bar up in Jersey, and he invited me up one day. So we're sitting there watching, chatting away. Behind us, they play the injury. Neither one of us look at it. And I turned to Lawrence and I said, we're always going to be connected. We know how it happened, what happened to me. It ended my career. How did the incident affect you? He said, "Joe, I learned a great lesson that night. And no matter how great you are at what you do, it can be over in an instant. And that every day you have to get the most out of a day.
Yeah.
You can't wait for tomorrow." And I tell people all the time, if you've got a riff going on with somebody, if you're pissed off at somebody, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
Just say, "Hey, just put it behind you." Because, hate, dislike is a burden.
Yeah.
Feeling good about things lightens your load.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very prophetic what he said about that. And we play golf together. I just won't let him stand on my left side where I can't see him.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. The our world, especially in our country right now, the divide between, and I don't want to get into politics, but everyone's pointing fingers on this and that, and friendships are getting fractured because I like this guy and you like that guy, and so now I don't like you. And I keep trying to say, whenever I say, let's not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about us being friends and put that aside. And just it's a perfect lesson that you said, just what you talked about. Hey, it is what it is. We can't change it. Let's not let it invade our space and invade our country. Yeah. But it was very, when you were talking about it, it kind of hit me that way, where it's not just sports, it's not just injuries. It's really a lot of things that can live by that lesson.
Letting stuff go, man.
And my injury, I think too, you brought it up, Joe, I think, Kim, which one of you did, is my injury, I think, changed the way that sports are presented now on television.
Yep.
Because they replayed that injury so much. Now, if somebody really gets hurt, like Damar Hamlin, for example, they immediately go to commercial. And then they start to collect the facts and sort of give the fans a chance to understand. And if it's severe, it's not going to happen. Paul George broke his leg like mine. We've had different individuals. I mean, somebody breaks a leg, even so many years later, they call me and say, what's your thoughts on this? And my whole thing is the physicians and the physical therapists will get you back physically ready to play. The toughest part is the mental. Again, we talk about mental health.
Yep.
Back to the mental part of it. If you're going up for a jump shot, are you going to favor that leg? Because when you're going up, you're coming down.
Right.
Now, is that going to affect your back? Like I couldn't play basketball anymore because my leg basically is almost an inch shorter, and it would throw my back completely out of whack. So you learned to change your life in accordance to what's happened to your body as we grow older, and find new and different things. I love golf.
Yep.
And that's what I'm able to do. I can wear an orthotic and I can play the game of golf. If my knee's a little sore, I can wear a sleeve on it. So you find a way to find other things to bring you happiness in your life.
Joe, I got to ask you, speaking of quarterbacks, have become such a popular topic, especially around the National Football League more than ever. How do you like how the rules have changed from when you played and you guys, they could hit you high, low, throw you down on your head, to the way they protect them now, high and low?
I think they're reaching a point where there's some very, very difficult decisions from a safety standpoint that are going to have to be made. Number one, before we talk about the quarterback, let's talk about wide receivers. Wide receiver catches the ball in the middle of the field, they get lit up. Boom, they get blown up. 15-yard penalty for roughing. I call it I hit you too hard penalty.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the option if you don't hit a guy high? You go for his knees and basically almost ends his career.
Right.
Does that make sense? And I'll tell you something. You give the guys in our league a lot of credit. They have very few guys, and there's always a couple, but very few guys in this league are out there to hurt somebody.
Sure.
Yeah, agree.
They don't want to hurt somebody, but the rules dictate that I can't hit you high. So where am I going to go?
Yeah.
My job is on the line. I got to get you on the ground. What do I do?
Yeah.
So you're creating this quandary for individuals that are defensive backs or linebackers.
Yeah.
From the quarterback's perspective, I have a big problem with when you push a quarterback to the ground, they deem that as a 15-yard penalty. I like the fact that you can't go low.
Yep.
I like the fact that the crackback block should not be allowed.
Yep.
Or two guys can't high-low alignment. I like that. That to me makes a lot of sense from a safety standpoint. But at what point are we going to make the game in anybody so safe that we lose the integrity of what football is? It's like I tell people all the time, if you took fighting out of hockey, you know what you'd have? The ice capades.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would. But I'm saying I'm all for safety. I'm all for, technology that allows the game to be safer.
Yeah.
But let's not be ridiculous about a defensive lineman comes in, he inadvertently pushes the quarterback to the ground, and it's a 15-yard penalty. And I will say this, some referees call it, some don't. So there needs to be more consistency in that area. But that's one that just makes absolutely no sense to me. And the other thing, too, speaking of changes in rules, I would love to see us challenge every play be challengeable. We're not giving you coaches any more challenges, but every play can be challenged and reviewed.
Right.
You think of the New Orleans game where Kamara just got mugged, nothing. This past year, wide receiver for the Packers down the middle of the football field gets mugged, nothing. And hey, I respect the fact that it's a tough game. It's a bang-bang game. It's hard to call. But if we have the technology, why not use it?
Well, you're right, because if you know you're going to challenge every play, you're going to have one guy sitting there looking, and he'll make a quicker call, right?
Yeah, but you only got. Thing is, you got two challenges.
I mean, someone in the eye in the sky, someone looking at the eye in the sky, saying, "Hey, that's a penalty. Boom, let's go," or it's not, and just move on.
Yeah, that's why coaches have somebody up there looking at that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's little things that we can do, and the game is just it's the biggest and the best. We were talking to some guys last said, it's not what it was before. It's a little bit easier on the players, but it's maybe more entertaining. Larry Zock was saying it's a more entertaining game. It's high flying. There's big scores. There's long touchdowns, long passes. Everyone wants to see.
it's a different game. Maybe better, maybe not, but it's more entertaining.
You know, Kim, life runs in cycles. It's the AFL.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, you know, if you're young and you're
They're
watching us
and
now,
all those guys.
yeah, if you're young and watching us now, go back and watch some old AFL film with Lenny Dawson and John Hadle, Joe Namath. Look at the game back then. I mean, they threw it all over the place.
Yep.
I mean, you know, that's why guys are in the Hall of Fame, because that's what they did. The thing that I have a little bit of a problem with, and they're talking about changing the OTA system a little bit, is when do you get to practice playing quarterback, let's say, against live competition?
Right.
You're not going. You have 3 preseason games. You're not going to. Jaden Daniels isn't going to play in the preseason.
Yep.
Caleb Williams isn't going to play in the preseason. So how is he going to get ready for a regular season football game? And this is what I've sort of concluded, that the first 2 to 3 regular season football games have now become preseason games.
Yep.
And how is a coach going to evaluate a free agent or a rookie if you see him, like you said, if you see him in shorts and T-shirts all the time?
Yeah.
You don't know how tough he is.
So you get those guys that were undrafted free agents. They come to training camp. All of a sudden, you're going live, and they make a big play. Oh, let's look at this guy. That's gone. You know, those guys that could have made a team if they were playing physical, they don't have that chance anymore.
You guys play. Well, we played when there were 14 games.
Yeah,
we had 6 preseason games. Yeah. That's the way. You know, Washington was the oldest team in football, most union team in football. All the old guys I played with, training camp was how they got in shape. We did not have an off-season training program.
Yep.
Okay. There was no off-season training program to speak of. Our weight room consisted of a universal gym in a closet.
Universal gym, small too. Universal gym, and a cooler full of beer. Right?
That was it.
That was kind of.
And you could pick a beer up going in, and you could pick a beer up going out.
Hey, you know, we've been fortunate enough to do a lot of things, and I don't get jealous about many things anymore, but I do. There's 2 things about you that makes me jealous. One is that thing that's right over your shoulder, that big silver, I see that big silver thing right there. That makes me jealous.
Yep.
And the other thing that makes me jealous is playing at Notre Dame. I would have died to play at Notre Dame. Give me a little bit of your experience of playing for the Fighting Irish and playing for that football team in that era when it must have been such a great era to be in South Bend.
It really was. And even today it is. The tradition is carried on tremendously. And actually, Notre Dame was not my first choice. I signed at North Carolina State University.
Wow.
And wound up changing my mind after I went there. And this is a name you might remember, Rocky Blyer.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Rocky was my chaperone at Notre Dame.
Wow.
And the campus has grown so much with so many buildings and so much opportunity for our student athletes there and our students as well. The stadium's been refurbished. It went from 55,000 to 85,000. The Jumbotron is huge. You know, it looked like the original scoreboard, the Jumbotron looked like it was an 85-inch TV.
Right.
It was a Samsung TV. That's how crazy it was. But just walking around campus, when I went there, we were all male. Mm-hmm. We didn't go co-educational until 72. I graduated in 71. We had curfews. It was very traditional, run by the fathers. And I was, you know, I'm not Catholic. Matter of fact, this is an interesting stat. There were more non-Catholics on when we played Texas in the Cotton Bowl, there were more non-Catholics on our football team than Texas had, I believe, in that one. So, I mean, but the campus is quaint enough. There's probably about 12,000, maybe 14,000 students now, but there was only 7,000 and change when I was there. And the atmosphere is incredible. The band comes marching in. They have now before games on a Saturday night, or Friday night, they have the drum and bugle corps get together and they perform. The drum line performs. So many wonderful things have happened there. But, you know, as a student, I don't know how you were in college, but as a student, when you're there, you're playing the game and it's great.
Yeah.
But when you really get to appreciate, and this is what I have with Notre Dame, when you're out and you meet so many people around the world that have attended the university, I can travel to any city or any country, and I'll always have a home to sleep in because there's a Notre Dame grad there that opens their doors to you.
Yeah.
A little different than Berkeley, Joe. A little different than going to Cal Berkeley. A lot different.
A lot different than San Jose State, I can tell you that.
Just a little bit, huh, Joe? Yeah, but it still carries a great tradition. And, I mean, you think of the movies, Rock the All-American, the different movies that have been made about the University of Notre Dame just, sort of speaks volumes to the way the university is looked at. And then, people just flat out hate us. But anybody that's had success, people hate anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's jealousy, there's envy. It's like, so, hey, I'm glad people are mad. People get mad at Tom Brady. I'm so sick and tired of hearing Tom Brady's name. I'm not.
No.
And I look at it this way. If a team is really good, like the Kansas City Chiefs, if you don't like the Kansas City Chiefs, I think Patrick's the best player in football today, best quarterback by far in football today. But if you don't like them, beat them.
Yeah.
There's 31 other opportunities for people out there. Beat them if you don't like them.
We saw that show twice, Joe, and you're absolutely right. That's the best show going. Yeah, they are good.
Yeah,
boy, no question.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Joe, this has been great, man. We can't thank you enough.
I love being with you. I appreciate it so much. Hey, been a long time. Kim, we've worked hard to have this happen.
Yes,
and I really, really appreciate you guys.
I wasn't gonna. You know what? It was kind of. I wasn't gonna give up. I remember chasing you down when you're scrambling around. I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to quit till I grabbed you around the ankle. So I kept trying to grab you around the ankle. I finally got you.
This time you caught me.
Got you a little early, about 30 years ago or whenever the hell that was.
Yeah,
but
just a little while ago.
There you go. That's right.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much,
it, man.
Thanks, guys. Great being with you.
Great having you. Pretty good stuff, Joe.
Great stories, man. Great stories.
Yeah, a little hard for me to take. That play. I was talking to you before we did the show. I had never seen that play until I was doing a little research last night, and I saw him on an interview with Joe Buck talking about it, and I saw it, and I go, oh, my God. It kind of hit me.
A lot of people didn't know. I was looking at it, and I had some other people, and they didn't know about that play that people have actually talked about where, Bo, not to bring it up, you could have been the MVP of the Super Bowl, and we would have had a ring. But that's the last time I'm going to say it.
That's another thing. Rob Swetson, if you're looking at this, that you're a bad man. Don't do that again. Hey, so look, we're going to end it up here. But look, if you want to keep going here with us, if you like what you're doing, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast and streaming platform. And oh, by the way, check out our shirts. We got the new collection,
nice.
Out to Pasture shirts. Our friends at Scales are our new wardrobe sponsor. And if you want some Scales and stuff, we're gonna have some opportunities for you to buy some stuff with a discount and everything. So we'll get you that. But if you see Scales, these things are comfortable, man. Try them on. You'll love them. And I hope you love our podcast. We'll see you next time on Out to Pasture.